Holy hell, ladies and gentlemen, a Reinhardt buff. Check this out. So Reinhardt now swings 10% faster on the PTR. They've also changed charge as well, so he no longer takes damage if he charges into something else, which is charging like a Doomfist punching, which is beautiful. So, yeah, what's going on? Well, if you look on the left-hand side here, we have the PTR, and on the right-hand side, we have the live server. You can see PTR is swinging faster. This basically is a buff to Reinhardt. He does more damage now. He feels better. He does feel more responsive, but, yeah, it's still kind of a minor buff. Anyway, let's get into McCree, because there's tons of changes on the PTR. McCree's flashbang now slows targets significantly when they are stunned. This makes them less likely to slide around a corner. Now, what does this mean? Well, this is actually quite hard for me to demonstrate. You may be able to notice it sometimes in this clip, especially if I flashbang a Genji, for example. But what this is essentially doing to McCree is, you know Roadhog's hook, right, before they fixed it so you couldn't actually keep momentum going. Like, you see how I picked up that Genji there with the flashbang? That still would have happened on live, right, because Genji was still, he kind of didn't have forward momentum. However, going back to the hook example, if Roadhog hooked you, yeah, but you were behind or you were running round a corner sort of thing, the hook snapped off because you kept your momentum, right? Or if you used an ability that gave you momentum, like Genji's dash, or Lucio wall riding, or, you know, anything like that which keeps you going forward. I mean, you could say Doomfist's rocket punch now, stuff like that. McCree, when he flashbangs them on live right now, they carry on with their momentum. What that, and also, hello, high noon. What that means is, if Genji comes in dashing towards me or dashing past you and you flashbang him, he keeps moving, right? Now that makes it very difficult for you to land the headshot or land any damage on him after flashbanging him. Right now, on the PTR, you flashbang them, they stand still, or they very drastically slow down, and you can just pop their heads. This makes McCree feel very crisp and beautiful. You can see me playing in the background here, like I said. There isn't that many examples of this flashbang in play. In fact, you could have said there, actually, when I got flashbang, that was an example of that, right? Because I was jumping in the air, so I would have had movement, and it would have been conserved, so when the flashbang hit me, I would have kept moving. However, the flashbang hit me, and I just stopped still. I think if Winston is jumping up in the air as well, and you flashbang him, he'll just straight up drop out of the sky. Like, they won't carry on moving. This is actually pretty huge, and you'll see in a second, I come up against I think it's a Lucio. I think Lucio actually kills me. And if I've included this in the clip, I might not have done, I'm not sure. But basically, I flashbang the Lucio as he's running towards me, and he basically stops and it lets me do damage to him, which is awesome. So this is a great change for McCree, but you have to remember, guys, about McCree. If you buff this hero too much, he breaks the game. McCree has been buffed and nerfed all of the time, right? All you guys out there who are McCree mains, I mean, I'd even put myself in the same bracket. I really love playing McCree. I think he's such a crisp and really enjoyable hero to play. He's just not very good against dive comp, which is, well, the problem. People dive on top of him, he wrecks them. And this actually, the flashbang buff, does help a lot with that, because if Genji's come diving in, or Winston's, or, well, Doomfist, I guess, are going to come diving in, or even Tracers or whatever, you can flashbang them and just absolutely wipe them out. And that is a absolutely huge change. No, I don't think I have the Lucio clip in this, no. But that's fine anyway. We can kill a nano-boosted Hanzo, and that's fine. Alright, so this is another beautiful one. This is Reaper. Again, this is a very minor change. So, Shadow Step, the VO, which is the voiceover, and the SFX, which is the sound effects, have been greatly reduced. Now, when you play Reaper on the PTR, and like I always say, guys, go and check all these changes out on the PTR. They're awesome, but do remember it is PC only. You still hear the very loud sound effect, like repositioning and all of that crap, right? Reaper shouts. However, you have to pretty much be on top of the enemy for them to notice this. So what this means is, you can get into positions, as I choke to death, you can get into positions that are actually really quite cute. I'm going to try and do it in this clip here. Like, I'm not the best Reaper player when it comes to using this ability, because I never use it, because it is literally ability which is absolutely terrible. Why would you use this? You're stationary when you port in, you shout Reaper, everybody looks at you and like, oh, there's Reaper over there, and then you instantly die. It is the worst ability in the game. Or, well, okay, maybe calling it the worst ability in the game is a bit strong. It was one of the abilities that just really didn't work with the hero that it was on. It's almost like we've just got to give him an E ability, so let's give him this. And it's not great. What this means now is you can kind of use it to get into positions without the enemy expecting you to be there, right? Because they're not going to hear the sound effect. They will, of course, hear when you move. They will, of course, hear when you start firing, obviously. So that's a bit of an issue. But obviously, Reaper is seeing a bit of a resurgence in the game right now, because his 20% lifesteal is actually damn good. And I use this hero like quite a lot on typically Temple of Anubis. I like to play him on. Not so much on King of the Hill. He is very good on King of the Hill. That's just because I like to play Tracer or a Soldier on King of the Hill, I think, or even a McCree. But yeah, Reaper is super, super strong. And what this means you can do is be cute with him, right? You can almost go back to the way I think this hero was intended to be when the game first launched. If you look at very, very, very super early footage of Reaper, it shows you him teleporting in behind it. I think it's behind Hanzo's head on Hanamura, and Hanzo doesn't even know he's there, and then he blows him away. You can kind of do that now. You can't teleport on top of somebody, right? They will know, all right? Unless they're goddamn stupid. They're not going to be like, oh, look, there's this massive shadowy visual effect all over me. What's going on? And you will hear him go, repositioning, when he is right on top of you. But if he's like a couple of meters away, you don't hear it. And then he can just rush in and kill you. And it's actually, I think, going to be pretty damn good, because it's going to open up flanks for Reaper. Like, if you think of Hanamura, think of the first point of Hanamura, you should be able to teleport through the window without them actually knowing. There actually will be quite a few cute positions as well where you will be able to use this. Like you can see in this clip here, I'm just using this just to get around the point. Like I said, it's an ability which I don't really use, and I don't think many Reaper players actually use anyway, because it's utterly pointless. And also Reaper absolutely annihilates, and I mean annihilates Doomfist. Doomfist actually had some buffs as well on the PTR, well, buffs and fixes. Had like a UI fix as well, but it's not really worth covering in this video yet, because he'll probably have a ton of other changes coming out. I'm more interested in what they're doing to the established characters, and that's why I'm very interested in what they've done to Reaper. Okay, let's move on to possibly the biggest change. This is Zarya. Graviton Surge now disables all movement abilities. It's basically like Junkrat's Trap. Now before, with Graviton Surge, you could dive out of this, couldn't you? If you were Tracer, you could blink out of it. If you were Reaper, you could Wraith form out of it. If you were Mercy, you could Guardian Angel out of it. You cannot do that anymore. This now keeps you bloody trapped in Graviton Surge. This actually is a huge buff for Zarya. It might not seem like it. You might be thinking, Stylo, well, it just traps them in the Graviton Surge. But think of those heroes I just listed off. All of them can get out of Graviton Surge. Reinhardt could charge out of Graviton Surge. Well, not anymore. They're going to be stuck in Graviton Surge for the duration of Graviton Surge. And the reason why this is absolutely huge is if you think of the prevalence of dive comp right now, yeah, you think of all the heroes which fastly and very quickly dive into your backline or dive on top of you. Zarya is not really used because Zarya is not great against that. But now her ultimate is amazing against that because nobody can escape it. She can drop that grav down, nobody's getting out of it, everybody can follow it with damage. It is such a huge change. And actually, I really like this change because Zarya, she's had like minor buffs and nerfs as time's gone on and things like that, but this is actually a pretty huge buff, and I think this is going to put her right back into the game. I don't think we're just going to see her in every single team comp. It's not like, oh right, okay, take the Zarya now, she can wipe them out with Graviton Surge. It is still a long ultimate to charge. This isn't something you can just go like, bang, I've got Graviton Surge and let's sort this out. But it has now become a guaranteed team wipe. It almost was a guaranteed team wipe before, but there were so many heroes that could get out of it, especially with the heroes that are used in dive comp builds. So what I mean by dive comp, I know it's not that relevant to all of us playing on the ladder and stuff, but when you get all of the highly mobile characters, when you play Zarya, I mean, Zarya was the very first golden weapon I bought, and it was so disheartening just to watch people go out of the Graviton Surge. It's like, big grav, huge grav, let's go guys, and then you just see Tracer blink out, Reaper walk away, and Reinhardt charge out. It's like, okay, great, you know, I was trying my best, and now everybody is just, well, they've escaped, so what was the point of that? So, let's just recap what has gone on in this video, or what is going on with Blizzard and what they're trying to do here. So they've buffed Reinhardt, they've given him more damage. Now, this again could be seen as something to counter dive comp, because Reinhardt is not really used that much. I hardly see Reinhardt on ladder, and it pains me, right, because Reinhardt is, you know, probably the character I've got with the most playtime on. Really enjoy the guy, love playing him, but he's just not mobile enough, he's just not good enough. When people dive on top of him, he can't do enough damage. Now, he does 10% more damage. While it's not a ton of more damage, it still actually is a bit more, so it's going to be, well, he's going to be slightly more usable. I think that's kind of the most negligible update right now, and even like Jeff said in the comments, it's kind of to make him feel a bit better, and he does feel more responsive because he's swinging his hammer around. I mean, for God's sake, he's in massive Crusader armor with a rocket powered hammer. He should be swinging this thing fast. Beautiful. So I think we'll probably see maybe a little bit more to Reinhardt in the future. I'm not sure. McCree is a great personal buff to me. I think that's awesome, and in fact I think McCree's buff is actually quite good. They are being very careful with McCree though, and rightfully so, because if you buff him too much, he breaks the game, like we've seen on numerous occasions where McCree has been way too powerful. So I like this change and I agree with it, because it means you can line up those flashbang headshots a little bit easier, and it's more predictable. Really, if you flashbang somebody, it should almost be a death sentence for them, because flashbang has such a short range, and McCree has no mobility. If he's flashbanging you, you've either got out of position, or McCree has got very clever with his positioning, so he should be rewarded for it, really. Reaper's buff, I like this because it kind of makes Reaper... Oh dear, down the pit I go. It kind of makes Reaper be sneaky in a way. I think they've always wanted him to be, but I think they've been very reluctant to just sort of remove the sound effect of his position, of his reposition, because when he does that, you don't just want to be instantly killed from behind. It doesn't feel great, right? Getting instantly killed by like a Roadhog hook doesn't feel great. Getting instantly killed by a teleporting Reaper probably doesn't feel great. So they are giving you the chance where you can kind of hear it, so it's not going to be like a total death sentence. And finally, we've got Zarya, which I think is probably the biggest change for a hero, because Zarya's grab now grabs absolutely everybody, and you can't escape from it, which is phenomenal. I mean, Reaper, like it was the example I give in the grab, he could still Wraith form inside the grab, so it's not like he's going to... like he can still prevent himself taking damage, and I guess heroes like Sombra could probably translocate out of it, because she could throw a translocator and go for that way, and I go down a hole again from Doomfist. Anyway, I'll probably end the video at that, guys. Let me know what you think about these changes. Let me know what you think about this if you're a Mercy main as well, because it looks like some of these changes, especially McCree and Zarya, are probably designed to kill Mercy as she's diving in with Guardian Angel. I'll catch you next time, guys. Toodaloo.